Going to the movies is a world-class escape, but for some, the real drama starts the moment they find something to complain about. Forget normal gripes like a broken seat or a long ticket line. We're looking at customers offended by things like the laws of physics, or the fact that a scary movie was actually scary. Today, we are breaking down 55 of the most unhinged complaints ever filed at the box office. Prepare to witness the absolute peak of human absurdity. 1. One Florida genius demanded a full refund because a horror movie was actually scary. Storming out halfway through, this person cornered a teenage usher to scream about heart palpitations and emotional distress. Apparently, the jump scares were set to an illegal decibel level for their liking. Instead of a paranormal thriller, they seemingly expected a relaxing nature documentary. How do you even handle a customer who is furious that the product worked exactly as advertised? It is like complaining that water is too wet or fire is too hot. 2. A patron in Ohio somehow missed the memo that theaters are supposed to be dark. Mid-movie, they summoned the manager because seeing their snacks was too difficult. The request was simple, yet insane. Turn on the overhead lights so they could read the nutritional labels on their candy. Naturally, the manager refused, explaining that lighting would ruin the experience for 200 other people. The customer then claimed the theater prioritized art over basic safety. It's a cinema, not a brightly lit grocery store or a reading nook. 3. Getting caught with outside food is common, but one family was outraged when their entire rotisserie chicken was confiscated. They argued that the theater's no outside food policy was discriminatory against people who prefer home-cooked poultry over popcorn. The father even claimed the smell of a warm chicken would enhance the cinematic experience for everyone nearby. Imagine the audacity of trying to carve a bird in the middle of a dark theater and then acting like the victim when you're told to stop. 4. During the Barbie craze, one man complained that the theater was discriminating against the color blue. He was genuinely upset that the lobby decorations were overwhelmingly pink, claiming it created a hostile environment for men. He actually demanded staff put up neutral colors like gray or brown to balance the aesthetics. Imagine being so insecure that a color palette for a movie about a doll feels like a personal attack. How much free time do you need to have get offended by a specific shade of paint in a public space? 5. A couple in Seattle filed a formal complaint because the theater smelled too much like popcorn. The buttery aroma was apparently overwhelming and made it impossible for them to enjoy their independent drama. Instead of just leaving, they suggested the theater invest in medical-grade air purifiers or stop selling snacks entirely. The manager's reminder that popcorn keeps the lights on didn't matter. They insisted it was a form of olfactory assault. If you hate the smell of popcorn, why are you even stepping foot inside a cinema? 6. A woman at a comedy special screening was furious because the rest of the audience was laughing too loudly. She complained to the manager that she couldn't hear the comedian's next jokes because of the uproar. She actually asked if the staff could tell the other 200 people to keep their laughter to a polite chuckle. If you go to a comedy show and get mad that people find things funny, maybe public outings just aren't for you. 7. A group of teenagers stayed through the credits of a 3-hour historical drama and then got angry when no secret teaser appeared. They actually tracked down a janitor to complain about wasting 10 minutes waiting for a cliffhanger. Since the director didn't follow the Marvel formula, these kids felt entitled to a free voucher. Do you actually enjoy sitting through 1,000 names of digital artists just for a 5-second clip? Or has the industry just brainwashed us all? History doesn't usually have a post-credit scene for a sequel. 8. A man once complained that a tall person was sitting in front of him and demanded staff make them move or sit lower. When told the theater doesn't control human growth, the situation escalated quickly. His solution was a height-restricted section where tall people are banished to the back rows. Essentially, he wanted a height chart at the door like a roller coaster, but in reverse. Imagine being so entitled that you think someone else's skeletal structure is a personal attack on your evening. Some people believe the world should reconfigure for them. 9. One theater-goer tried to bring in a service turkey and was genuinely shocked when blocked at the door. A formal complaint followed, claiming the bird provided essential emotional support during intense scenes. The owner even argued the turkey was well-behaved and wouldn't peck at anyone's popcorn. The visual of sitting next to a massive bird while watching a romantic comedy is peak absurdity. Is there any animal people won't try to slap a service vest on these days? It seems common sense has officially flown the coop. 10. Annoyed by 20 minutes of trailers, one guy actually called the police from his seat. The emergency dispatcher heard a claim that he was being held hostage by advertisements and that the theater was committing fraud. He wanted an officer to force the projectionist to skip the previews and start the movie immediately. Calling emergency services over a movie trailer is next-level insanity. Are you the type of person who shows up late to skip the ads, or do you actually enjoy the hype of upcoming releases? 11. An angry guest once demanded a refund because the air conditioning was, quote, too aggressive. This person claimed the theater was trying to induce hypothermia just to sell more overpriced blankets at the gift shop. Even after being offered a different seat away from the vents, the customer insisted the entire building's climate was a personal attack on their sinuses. They actually wanted the manager to turn off the AC for the entire auditorium during a massive heat wave. Do you think theaters overdo it with the cold, or are people just looking for a reason to moan? 12. During the 3-hour run of Avatar: The Way of Water, a patron complained that the underwater scenes were too immersive and made them feel like they were drowning. They demanded the theater provide oxygen masks, or at least turn up the lights so they could remember they were in a building. This person was legitimately upset that the high-definition visuals were doing their job too well. It's the ultimate compliment to the director, but for this viewer, it was a reason to demand a full refund and a written apology. 13. Believe it or not, a customer once complained that the IMAX screen was unnecessarily large and required too much neck movement. The grievance stated the theater should have warned them that a massive screen would actually be, well, massive. This individual wanted a partial refund because they couldn't see the entire frame without blinking or shifting their head from side to side. It is the literal point of the format. But apparently, some people prefer the scale of a basic tablet over a 5-story tall cinematic experience. 14. A self-proclaimed cinephile once lost their mind because the person 3 rows back was chewing popcorn too loudly. This wasn't just a dirty look. They walked out to complain that the crunching was ruining the artistic integrity of the film's silent moments. Their demand was that the theater stop selling crunchy snacks altogether and switch to soft foods like marshmallows or pudding to ensure a silent environment. Imagine going to a public place and expecting 200 strangers to eat like ninjas just for your personal comfort. 15. Walking up a few steps to get to a seat is too much exercise for some. A woman in Arizona filed a formal grievance because her preferred seat was at the top of the stadium's seating, and the climb left her out of breath. She argued that the theater should install a small escalator or an elevator specifically for the middle aisles to accommodate people who hate stairs. The fact that bottom row seats were available meant nothing. She wanted the view from the top without the 3-second walk to get there. 16. During a 3D screening, a teenager complained that the glasses were unfashionable and made him look like a dork in his social media selfies. He actually wanted a discount because the aesthetic penalty of wearing the glasses ruined his online presence for the night. The manager tried to explain that the glasses are for seeing the movie, not for a professional photo shoot, but the kid wouldn't listen. It is a new level of vanity when you prioritize your look over the literal $300 million visual effects on the screen. 17. One elderly customer complained that the staff members were all too young and happy, which made them feel ancient and disrespected. This person wanted the theater to hire more mature individuals who understood the gravity of cinema rather than teenagers with high-top fades. They literally argued that a 19-year-old shouldn't be allowed to handle something as important as a movie ticket. It is one of those complaints where you realize some people are just mad at the passage of time and taking it out on the nearest usher. 18. Modern theaters have incredible sound systems, but for one patron, it was a terrifying experience. They complained that the surround sound was stalking them because they kept hearing noises behind their head. Instead of realizing it was the movie's audio design, they became convinced that people were hiding in the walls or whispering from the shadows. They demanded the manager turn off the rear speakers because the realism was violating their personal space. Some people really can't handle being fully immersed in a story. 19. Distance is a common theme for the lazy, as evidenced by the guy who complained the restrooms were too far from the screen. He argued that the 3-minute walk was a health hazard because it forced him to miss crucial plot points. His suggestion? Small, private bathrooms should be installed at the end of every single row for maximum convenience. The logistics of plumbing a theater for individual stalls in every row didn't even cross his mind. He just wanted to pee without missing a single explosion or cheesy one-liner. 20. A customer once demanded a refund specifically because the main character died at the end. They claimed the movie was defective because it didn't have a happy ending. And since they left the theater feeling sad, the service was a failure. No matter how much the manager explained that the plot isn't a customer service choice, the person wouldn't budge. They truly believed a movie should only be paid for if the viewer approves of the script's outcome. Would you ever ask for your money back if a movie broke your heart? 21. One guy lost his mind because his popcorn was too buttery. He claimed the staff was trying to give him a heart attack on purpose and demanded the manager pay for his future medical bills. After eating half the bucket, he suddenly decided the grease was a safety hazard. He wanted a fresh, dry bucket and a signed waiver stating the theater wouldn't be liable for his cholesterol levels. It is the only place on earth where people complain about getting too much of a good thing for free. 22. A customer once filed a grievance because the screen was blindingly bright during a daylight scene. This person suggested the theater provide polarized sunglasses for every viewer to prevent what they called visual assault. When told they could just look away for a second, they argued the theater was violating their rights to a comfortable viewing experience. Some people really go to a building designed for light projection and then get offended when the light actually projects. Is the sun also on their list of things to sue? 23. During a screening of the movie Inception, one woman demanded a refund because the plot was intentionally confusing. She claimed the filmmakers were being intellectual bullies and that the theater should have warned her the movie required thinking. Her logic was that a movie ticket is a contract for entertainment, and since she was confused, the contract was breached. Do you think theaters should put difficulty ratings on movies to warn people who just want to turn their brains off, or is that just insulting? 24. A man once complained that an usher began sweeping the aisles while the credits were still rolling. He didn't care about seeing the names. He claimed the sound of the broom was ruining his emotional transition back to reality. This person wanted a quiet 5 minutes of reflection time in total darkness after every movie. Expecting a minimum-wage teenager to pause their cleaning schedule for your spiritual journey is a level of main character syndrome that is truly hard to beat. 25. A physics teacher once wrote a long email complaining about a car chase scene where a vehicle jumped a bridge. He wanted the theater to post a disclaimer stating that the stunt violated the laws of motion. He was worried that uneducated audience members would try to recreate the jump in their own minivans. Most people understand that movies aren't documentaries, but this guy was ready to sue the cinema for promoting reckless gravity. It's a movie about fast cars, not a university lecture on kinetic energy. 26. One woman demanded the same price for her adult ticket as a child's ticket because she felt young at heart. When the cashier explained that age is based on birth dates, not vibes, she accused the theater of ageism. She spent 20 minutes holding up the line, arguing that her youthful spirit should be reflected in the pricing structure. It is truly impressive how some people will try to use a midlife crisis as a way to save $5 on a Saturday matinee. Does anyone actually think this logic would work anywhere else? 27. A customer complained because the auditorium was too quiet before the trailer started. They felt the silence was creepy and unprofessional and demanded that the staff play top 40 hits or elevator music at all times. They claimed the lack of noise made them too aware of their own breathing, which supposedly caused a panic attack. Some people are so addicted to constant stimulation that 10 minutes of peace feels like a genuine emergency. 28. After a theater was deep cleaned, a patron complained that the smell of lemon disinfectant was distracting from the cinematic atmosphere. They actually preferred the smell of old floors and stale popcorn because it felt more authentic. They suggested the theater use unscented cleaners, or better yet, just stop cleaning between shows entirely to preserve the vibe. It is a rare day when someone actually asks for a dirtier environment just to satisfy their weird sense of nostalgia. 29. The release of the movie Gravity brought out a customer upset by the film's lack of literal gravity. Since the characters were floating around too much, this patron felt dizzy and unsupported in their reclining chair. A refund was demanded on the grounds that the movie was scientifically inaccurate and physically uncomfortable. Even though the story is set in outer space, the expectation was apparently for Sandra Bullock to walk around like she was in a shopping mall. Some people want realism until they realize space doesn't have a floor. 30. One parent was outraged because a trailer for a mild thriller played before a family-friendly animated film. While that sounds reasonable, the thriller was just a mystery about a missing cat. The parent claimed the sight of a sad kitten was psychological warfare against their toddler and demanded a year of free movies as compensation. Some parents treat the world like a padded cell and expect every business to follow suit. Should theaters be held responsible for a child's every single nightmare? 31. When the 3-hour epic Oppenheimer was released, one man demanded a refund because his butt fell asleep. He argued that the theater was legally obligated to provide a mandatory stretching break every 60 minutes. According to his formal complaint, the movie was unreasonably long, and the staff should have edited it down for the sake of the audience's circulation. It is literally one of the most famous historical events, but he treated the runtime like a surprise ambush. Is any movie actually worth sitting for 3 hours? Or should everything be capped at 90 minutes? 32. Modern luxury recliners are a dream for most, but one woman found them to be a trap. She filed a complaint because the chair was too comfortable, causing her to fall asleep during the first 10 minutes of the film. Since she missed the entire story, she felt the theater owed her a voucher for a second attempt. She basically tried to sue the business for providing a service that was too high quality. If you can't stay awake in a comfy chair, that sounds like a personal sleep schedule problem, not a corporate failure. 33. A man once complained that the nacho chips were too triangular and posed a safety risk to his mouth. He was dead serious, claiming the sharp corners were a design flaw that the theater should have addressed by sourcing rounded chips. He spent 10 minutes at the counter explaining the physics of how a chip could poke the roof of his mouth. It's hard to imagine being so fragile that the shape of a snack feels like a literal weapon. Do you think people like this are actually serious, or are they just looking for a free meal? 34. A man was legitimately furious that children were present at a Saturday afternoon screening of a G-rated animated movie. He cornered the manager, complaining that the youthful energy and occasional giggling were distracting him from the complex themes of the talking animal film. He actually suggested the theater implement an adults-only policy for Disney movies so he could watch in peace. How entitled do you have to be to expect a playground atmosphere to transform into a silent monastery for your benefit? 35. Demanding free popcorn because of too much ice in a soda is peak entitlement. This woman called it a personal insult to her thirst, but when staff offered a fix, the argument shifted. Suddenly, the ice was too cold and hurting her teeth, which she blamed on the theater's aggressive freezer settings. Her final demand included a lukewarm soda with exactly 3 cubes and a written apology. Is it really that hard to just drink a soda without turning it into a federal case, or are some people just looking for a fight? 36. Safety laws require exit signs to stay lit, but one patron found this to be an unacceptable glow. They complained that the red light was bleeding into their peripheral vision and ruining the contrast of the film. They suggested that the theater should install motion-activated exit signs that only turn on during a real emergency. The fact that this would be a massive fire code violation didn't matter to them. Some people are so obsessed with perfection that they would literally risk their lives just to have a slightly darker room. 37. In the age of smartphones, one man was furious that he couldn't get a traditional hand-stamped paper ticket. He claimed that digital QR codes were a government tracking device and that the theater was participating in a massive surveillance operation. He demanded the manager handwrite a receipt on a piece of cardboard to prove he paid for his seat. It's a lot of drama for a Tuesday afternoon screening of a romantic comedy. Why do people always think the most mundane things are part of a global conspiracy? 38. During a particularly quiet, emotional scene, a woman complained because she could hear the projector cooling fan. Even though modern digital projectors are nearly silent, she claimed the humming was a form of psychological torture. She wanted the staff to wrap the projector in blankets to muffle the sound, which would have instantly caused the machine to overheat and catch fire. It is amazing how some people have the hearing of a bat only when it gives them something to be annoyed about. 39. A customer complained that the bathroom mirrors were too honest and made them look tired after the movie. They suggested the theater install soft glow lighting or flattering filters on the glass to ensure guests leave the building feeling beautiful. They literally blamed the theater's restroom design for their own post-movie messy hair and smudged mascara. It takes a special kind of ego to expect a public bathroom to function like a professional beauty studio. 40. A woman once demanded her money back because it started raining while she was inside the theater. Her logic was that the gloomy atmosphere outside ruined the happy ending of the movie she just watched. She actually expected the theater to check the forecast and warn her that her post-movie walk to the car would be damp. Holding a business responsible for the literal weather is the ultimate peak of the customer is always right delusion. Does anyone actually believe the world revolves around their personal comfort like this? 41. A guest once filed a formal complaint because the motorized reclining seats moved too slowly. This individual argued that in an emergency, they wouldn't be able to return to a sitting position fast enough to flee the building. They actually wanted the theater to upgrade the motors to a high-speed version that could snap them upright in under a second. Imagine being so worried about a hypothetical fire that you want your luxury chair to basically eject you like a fighter jet seat. Safety is important, but this is just pure paranoia. 42. One self-appointed tech expert demanded a discount because of the black bars at the top and bottom of the screen. He claimed he was paying for the whole screen and that the theater was stealing 30% of the image from him. No amount of explaining aspect ratios or cinematic intent could calm him down. He actually suggested the projectionist should stretch the image to fill every inch of the wall. Does anyone actually notice the black bars? Or is this just someone looking for a reason to be difficult and get a cheap ticket? 43. A man once caused a scene because his oversized, gallon-sized water jug didn't fit into the standard armrest cup holder. He didn't just accept it, he filed a complaint stating the theater was discriminating against hydrated individuals. He actually expected the manager to bring out a power tool and widen the plastic hole right there in row F. When told that was impossible, he claimed the theater was trying to force him to buy their soda. Imagine being so attached to a water bottle that you expect a building to be remodeled for it. 44. An usher once got yelled at for being too tall while walking down the aisle to check for recording devices. The customer claimed that the half-second obstruction of the screen caused them to lose the entire thread of the plot. They demanded the theater hire shorter staff or force employees to crawl on their hands and knees while the movie is playing. The level of entitlement required to ask a human being to physically degrade themselves just so you don't miss a single frame of a commercial is truly staggering to witness. 45. A woman once complained about the sound of her own husband's straw hitting the bottom of his cup. She didn't just ask him to stop, she blamed the theater for providing resonant plastic that amplified the noise. Her solution was for the cinema to switch to silent, edible straws or perhaps velvet-lined cups to dampen the acoustics. If your marriage is so tense that a plastic straw causes a public scene, a movie theater is probably the last place you should be spending your Friday night. Some people really can't handle public life. 46. One customer was furious that the large popcorn bucket didn't come with a lid. They wanted to take the leftovers home but felt that an open-top container was a sanitation risk for their car's upholstery. When the staff offered a plastic bag, the customer claimed it was tacky and beneath their dignity. They actually wanted a custom-fitted snap-on lid for a disposable paper bucket. Are you a finish-it-all-in-the-theater person? Or do you expect the cinema to provide Tupperware for your $5 snack and a valet to carry it? 47. A teenager was shocked when told they couldn't FaceTime their friends during a horror movie. They complained to the manager that the no phones rule was an infringement on their social life and a form of forced isolation. Their argument was that since they paid for the seat, they owned the airwaves in that square foot of space. The idea that 200 other people might not want to hear a FaceTime conversation about high school drama didn't even enter their mind. It's a cinema, not a private phone booth for your social circle. 48. A patron once complained that the pre-packaged ice cream sandwiches were too frozen. They claimed the theater was trying to break their teeth on purpose and demanded a microwave to soften the snack. When told that a microwave wasn't available behind the counter, they accused the staff of culinary negligence. Imagine being mad at a freezer for doing its job properly. Do you think some people just enjoy the sound of their own voice? Or do they truly believe every minor inconvenience is a coordinated corporate conspiracy? 49. After a rainy evening, a woman complained that the parking lot didn't have a covered walkway to the front door. She argued that since she bought a VIP ticket, the theater was responsible for keeping her shoes dry from the moment she entered the property. She literally wanted a red carpet rolled out over the asphalt just for her. It's a movie theater in a suburban strip mall, not the Academy Awards, but some people really expect the Hollywood treatment for a $10 matinee. Weather control isn't part of the ticket price. 50. One viewer was genuinely upset because a dramatic movie had several minutes of total silence. They complained that the theater's audio system was broken because there was no background music to tell them how to feel. They felt that the lack of sound was a technical glitch and demanded a voucher for a different movie with a fuller soundtrack. Some people are so uncomfortable with their own thoughts that 5 minutes of silence in a dark room feels like a personal emergency. Art is lost on those who need constant noise. 51. We've all dealt with sticky theater floors, but one woman claimed it was a deliberate tactic to stop her from walking out. She filed a grievance stating the adhesive residue was a form of kidnapping because she couldn't move her expensive heels without effort. She demanded the theater pay for a professional shoe cleaning and a personal apology from the janitorial staff. The idea that a soda spill is a conspiracy to hold people hostage is a level of drama usually reserved for the movies themselves. It's a movie theater, not a trap. 52. When the masterpiece Parasite hit theaters, the requirement to read while watching triggered some serious anger. A guy in Texas walked out, demanding his money back because the actors weren't speaking English. If reading was the goal, he told the staff he would have gone to a library. Despite every poster and trailer showing it was a foreign film, he felt cheated. This bait-and-switch operation, as he called it, was apparently a conspiracy to trick honest people. Imagine being offended by the existence of other languages. 53. A customer once returned a full bucket of popcorn because the butter was too yellow. They argued that real butter isn't that shade of neon and accused the theater of using radioactive dyes to manipulate the audience's mood. Even after seeing the ingredient list, they insisted the color was a form of visual propaganda. They actually wanted a refund and a written statement that the snack wouldn't turn their organs yellow. Do you think people like this are genuinely scared, or are they just bored? 54. One patron was so distracted by dust motes dancing in the projector's light beam that they stopped the movie to complain. They claimed the visible dust was a sign of a looming public health crisis and substandard air quality. The manager explained that you can only see the particles because of the concentrated light, but the customer demanded a high-powered vacuum system to suck the air out of the room for a pure experience. Some people just can't handle the reality of the air they breathe. Why is it always the smallest things that trigger the biggest meltdowns? 55. In a theater with bass shaker seats, a woman complained that the vibration was interrupting her digestion. Despite knowing she bought a ticket for an action blockbuster, she expected the seat to remain perfectly still during explosions. She blamed the theater for her upcoming stomachache and demanded a massage voucher to fix the damage caused by the subwoofers. It is a premium feature she paid for, yet she treated it like a mechanical malfunction. Would you pay extra for a seat that shakes, or do you prefer to keep your movie experience as still as possible? These stories prove that no matter how good the movie is, someone will always find a reason to be miserable. Have you ever witnessed someone make a totally insane complaint at the movies? Or have you ever been that person yourself? Tell us your best theater horror stories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this look at human absurdity, hit that like button and subscribe for more.